Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the MasterClass number 4. Josh, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It's a lovely evening to be in my shop.
Is it cold out there?
Yeah, it's supposed to be down to 25 tonight.
Yeah,
It's windy and gross. Yeah,
it's been the same here. So perfect time to be in the shop building, right?
absolutely. I'm an all-year builder, but days like today, definitely perfect for being in the shop building something.
I like it. I like it. Well, we're switching focus to the tail. Um, I'm looking forward to jumping into this. I just want to say I took a lot of heat from last class because I didn't use the wax paper. And again, I want you guys to learn from my mistakes. So,
I think you did a fine job. And honestly, making the mistakes along the way is the best way to learn. I make plenty of mistakes. I know people don't like to admit sometimes that they make mistakes, but seriously, like now you know the pains and agony of trying to remove parts from plans without wax paper.
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, a lot of fun. A lot of fun that is. I do have wax paper. I'm not building tonight, so I don't have them on the plans right now. So I gotta finish up the second wing. So,
Very
but
good.
I knew Josh was building tonight, so I kind of got a get out of jail free card tonight. So,
That's true.
uh,
Well, in all fairness, too, I've already built what we're building tonight. I'm just doing it the second time because I'm building two planes, right?
yeah, you got it twice as hard as I do, so that's for sure. But
Yeah.
uh, guys and gals watching at home, please drop it in the comments where you're tuning in from. I see we already got Virginia, West Virginia, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Kansas.
Kansas.
So we love to see where everybody's tuning in from. Get ready for some trivia questions throughout the show as we got some great stuff for you guys to win.
Yeah, buddy.
Um, so, yeah, yeah, we got some chrome tires, some swag, some hinge slaughter kit. It's
Yeah,
Christmas. It's
right?
Christmas. So,
It's Christmas.
if you don't see Master Class number 5, it's probably because I gave away too much stuff, and the boss man comes in tomorrow morning a little upset. So no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Um, so going to the plans, we're going to start tonight on step 49 for those of you following along with the build and building themselves. I know I saw Gary in the chat. I know he's building, and this is one of his first builds. So it's been kind of cool to get that feedback from folks that are building their first plane and following along with this, man.
Yeah, it really is. It's nice to see people following along and learning along with you, Brian. And I've got to be honest that a lot of the techniques are rinse repeat
Sure.
with stuff, and that's okay. I've always been a huge proponent of taking an entire model and learning one technique so that you make as many mistakes as possible and you learn how to perfect that technique by the end of the model.
Sure.
So it's a great exercise to take a single thing that you're learning how to do and you do it carefully over and over and over again and figure out what works for you and what makes the most sense for you and what your hands do and teaching yourself how to do something. So we're going to take a little bit different technique than what we did last time in terms of building up the wing, since the construction of the tail is a little bit different in construction from the wing.
Love it. Love it. Love it. I think that's great advice, man. It's keep learning from your mistakes and dialing it into your own technique and just keep going it.
Yeah. We ready to get started then?
Let's do it. Let's do it. I know
All right.
we had some comments about the camera angle last time and on the build. So both Josh and I have kind of dialed that in. Josh a little bit better than I, but I
Can you
like it.
all see?
It looks good. It looks good.
So first, I want to talk about a couple of things that we're going to be using tonight. Obviously, I like to have a ruler handy just because it works for me. Sometimes I want to measure things, and it's just handy to have it there anyway. I prefer to measure in metric because it's more precise. I can do easier mental math because everything is base 10 as opposed to 8 from the old imperial system. But whatever works for you, works for you. Also, I like to have a marker handy. I love these Bic fine tip markers because I can make notes of things. I can write on the wood. And honestly, the Sharpie is nice too because if you write on plastic, it can be removed with basic rubbing alcohol. I also have my medium CA this evening. That's ready to go, as well as something to wipe up my mess with in case I make a mess. I have a bin full of T-pins. I have a drawer sorter separator thing that I have all my different size T-pins. So I have my small Dubro T-pins ready to go. I also have my Dubro quicksand hand sander. I've got the small one with 80 grit and a larger one with 150 in case I need to do any sanding for any fitting. Probably won't, but always a good idea to have on hand. And of course, I have the directions, but Brian.
Oh, I'll be reading those for you, my friend.
All right, so make sure I don't screw up, okay?
I'll try my best.
Okay, so you want to read step 49? This is a quick one.
Yeah, step 49 is locate ST5 from BP4, pin it in place over the plans as shown here. And Josh, you have wax paper over your plans?
I do.
All right.
I will verify. See, wax paper. So
Yeah,
I've already
didn't-
pinned this part just to hold the wax paper down since we're only using this one part of the plans. So that's why it's already pinned in place. But yeah, I followed step 49. So imagine that I put this in place and I pinned everything down.
Got it. All right, now you step 50, locate ST2 from BP4, glue it in place, fitting into the ST5's center notch. Make sure it's positioned the correct way as one end is larger than the other.
Right. Okay, so because there's these two little knobs here and I'm going to be gluing them up against the surface, I'm just going to do a couple of small passes with my sanding block just to take those away. So glue it in place. Yes?
Yes, sir. And make sure you have it positioned the correct way as one end is larger than the other, which means I will glue it backwards.
It's kind of hard because it's a trapezoid. If you're following the plans, then, don't hurt yourself there. All right. So I like to hold a little bit of pressure for a few seconds while the glue cures because this is medium, this isn't thin, it's not going to insta-set, so it takes a few seconds. All right, I have glue on my fingers. Let's go to the next step.
Locate ST1 from BP4. It is glued in place as shown here, making sure ST2 fits completely into ST1's center notch.
All right, so same deal.
And then you're going to pin that as well.
Yep. So first I'm going to try to center it as best I can. And while I hold it, I'll pin the base. So when I pin, I like to pin at opposite angles. So notice how this pin, I went in this direction. So this one I'll pin at the opposite angle. So that way it doesn't necessarily shift side to side. And then I'll pin this outer end in a similar way.
So we got a great question here while you're pinning that down, Josh.
Sure.
Gary asked, I notice sometimes he makes an X with the pins over the wood and sometimes sticks the pins down like now.
Sure.
When do you do one or the other?
That's a great question. So the easiest answer is when the wood is too hard to stick the pin through. So if you recall last week, Brian, you did that on your wing spar, right?
Correct.
So that was using basswood. And so the pins aren't going to come through the basswood very easily. So you pin it in an X pattern like that to help it prevent from going back and forth.
Got it.
Because you can't push the pin straight through the wood.
Right. Great question, Gary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Should we do a giveaway?
Yeah,
It's Christmas.
it's Christmas.
What do you think the question should be this? I'll give you the first one.
Okay. Yesterday was a big aviation anniversary. What anniversary in aviation was yesterday? I need the number of years and what happened.
All right. All right. We'll wait for a response on that one.
Yeah.
And then we got another question as well while
Okay.
they're figuring that out. Let me do this. So Sutter family is asking, did you guys cover what to do if the part sizes on the plans are either bigger or smaller than the balsa pieces?
Okay, so bigger or smaller, meaning like, okay, like within millimeters, or are we talking like a quarter of an inch, which is like 5 millimeters? So that's really the question. If it's off by a significant amount, chances are you have the wrong part. Um, and I've screwed up before. Sometimes I have a moment of dyslexia. That's okay. Like where a 6 is a 9 or something like that. Um, but if it's not exactly the same size as the plans, that's okay. The way that Mark has engineered these models, they key together really, really well. So like, for example, here, I'll just point out, I'll turn my camera around and then I see that there are plenty of answers coming in so we can announce a winner. But
Uh,
here,
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, you're zoomed out, but there is like a millimeter, not even a millimeter overlap of the plans on this end of ST1 as well as on this end. It's ever so slightly bigger. That's okay, because once we're done, we're going to do sanding of all of this stuff. So you're going to sand around the leading edge to make it nice and smooth. You're going to blend in the horizontal stabilizer once it's joined with the elevators. So having things ever so slightly oversized is a good thing, and it's usually a very small amount. If it's undersized, you might want to check your positioning on the plans, and sometimes things slip. It happens. And so it might just be refining how you pin, your pinning technique. I
He
hope that helps.
he also followed that up with, I'm getting at, do you cheat the part to the center of the plans or to one side or the other?
Cheat the part. Let's see. So what I would say is I try to center it.
Okay.
Okay, so if I see that something is oversized or undersized, I try to center it as much as possible. Because if you go left or right, you're going to be biasing because you want it to be as symmetrical as possible once you assemble the plant. So if this were to be oversized, as it is, and I were to make this side correct, well, this side would be over by a significant portion, whereas this side would be exact.
Sure.
So the left side, my left side, your right side would be larger or longer, but at the same time, all of these keyways, they would be shifted as well. And this would be shifted as well. So all of this stuff would be shifted on the plan. So everything would kind of look wrong. So that's why I say I try to center everything as much as I can on the plans. Does that make sense? I hope so.
Yep. And Mark's tuning in from Old School Model Works as well. He said if
Good.
there's small differences, it's typically due to humidity changes in the plans. The paper can shrink and expand a little bit.
That is also very true. Good reminder, Mark. Thank you. I take that for granted because I live in a very humid area, and it's just something that I've adapted with doing. It just, it's always humid here.
So we had a few answers.
Good.
Wright brothers first flight. Rick Rader had 1903.
That is correct. Correct.
Sutter family forgot
120
the
years.
Yeah, Sutter family forgot the date.
Yeah.
RC Barn guessed 90 years. He did follow it up with 120, but Rick beat him to the punch. Rick,
yeah, it's Rick. Good job.
Email
Wright
me.
Brothers first flight, 1903, 120 years. That's awesome.
Love it. Love it. Rick, send me an email at orders@dubro.com, and we'll give you a set of chromed wheels, and just let me know what size you want those wheels, and I will get those out to you, and I'll need your shipping info as well. So orders@dubro.com.
Sweet.
Boom.
Shall we keep building?
Let's do it.
Next step.
So we're on step 52. Locate both ST3s from BP4.
Yep.
They are used to form both stab tips. Glue these in place, making sure they're flush with the ends of ST5 and ST1. They also need to be flat to the building surface.
Yeah. So if they're not flat to the building surface, you're going to get warps. So that's why that's important. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to leave this leading edge nice and straight, and I'm going to unpin the trailing edge so I can make any adjustments and then repin it as I glue it. Because if it wants us to make sure everything's true and flush, then there are going to be little tiny adjustments as we go. So I'm just going to add some glue to each end. So in this situation, I'm gluing to the stationary end first. Non-stationary end is second, holding it in place, and I'm going to repin. Now, rather than going in the original hole, I'm going to make a new one so that it stays firmly pinned in place. And I'm going to pin that part so it doesn't move while the glue cures.
Like it.
So then I'm going to do the same thing over here. A little bit of glue on each part. And here's a fun little tip that I have. When I'm trying to pick up a T-pin that's flat on my building board, I don't have long fingernails. So what I do is I push on the tip of the pin, and it elevates it a little bit, and it'll rotate it too, and I can pick it up with the other two, like that.
I like it. As a guy with fat fingers, I struggle with that.
Yeah. It's a real problem some days.
I hear you. I hear you.
Next step, I'm ready.
All right. We're going to locate 4 ST4s from BP4.
Yep.
These are the center supports. Glue them in between ST5 and ST1, inserted into the pre-cut slots on each side of the stab. These also need to be flat to the building surface.
All right. So in this case, I'm going to do the same similar thing. I'm going to remove the T-pin from in between where these sit. That way I can glue these in place loosely and then push in the center and add the pin back, and it will hold them firmly in place. Does that make
Love it.
sense?
Yes, sir.
Pretty easy stuff here. 1, 2. One, two, close that gap. And there we go. One side down.
It's a good thing Josh is doing this tonight because I'd probably take a little bit longer. Which is okay. Which is okay, right? But your experience is shining, my friend.
Well, there are others far more experienced than me, and that's okay. There are other people that will disagree with how we go about this, and that's okay too. We're all allowed our opinions and our own speeds.
So we got
I think I love the learning process associated with that.
I agree. So we got another great question. Is the
Yep.
laser cutting so good on those sheets that you literally don't need to cut them loose? And we briefly covered that last week too.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just kind of fall right out.
Yeah. What's the next part I need to get out? And I'll show it up to the camera real close.
So the next part is locate both ST6s from BP4, pin these in place as the leading edges of the elevator halves.
Okay, so here they are. So here's ST6 and it's these two pieces, and you literally just I just crack that one and it'll fold right out.
Boom.
Crack here. And it literally just pops right out. It's that easy.
Love it.
Okay, so
you're going to pin those in place as the leading edges of the elevator halves.
Right. One. And two. One. Two. I'm going to repin that one. I'm not entirely happy with that. There. Okay, next.
All right. Locate both ST7s from BP4, pin and glue them in position as shown. Flush with the inner ends of ST6.
Okay, so this is a more complex part. I'm just going to pop that like that. Literally just folds right out of the sheet.
I was amazed at how clean those came out.
Yeah. Mark does exceptional work.
And I know Mark talked about that when we had him on MasterClass number 2. So if you guys missed that, go back and watch and hear all about Old School Model Works, how Mark got that started, what he's done to innovate the company, all the plans, things like that. There's a lot of great info. And thank you to Old School Model Works and Mark for helping sponsor this build and giving us the kits to do so. But it definitely helps to have great plans and great kits, I've learned.
Definitely. I've built some good kits and I've built some less favorable kits. I'll just say the stuff that you buy on eBay is a builder's world out there. And some of that stuff you have to do a lot of engineering for, but Mark makes this just an absolute joy. We're done. Next
All
step.
right. Locate 4 ST8s from BP3. We're going to glue these into both of the notches on each of the ST6s. They also need to be flat on the building surface.
ST8.
And you're going to need 4 of those, 2 for each side.
Yeah, the BP3, there are 2 sheets of these. So you have to pop 2 out of each sheet. All right, and then glue those in place?
Yes, we're going to glue those flush with the inner ends of ST6.
Very good. So I'm going to do one of these. Kind of feel like I need another pin there, so I'm going to add one.
Rick's on it, man. I already got his email. He's getting some 3.5-inch chromes.
3.5, that's a good size. Yeah, we recommend at least 3-inch at my field because of the bumpy field that we have.
So as you're going through this, Josh, Gary's got a great question. He said you
Sure.
unpinned the trailing edge of the stab. Wouldn't unpinning the leading edge of the stab keep the edge where the hinges are straighter?
Say that again. Let me think through what he's saying.
All right. You unpinned the trailing edge of the stab.
Right.
Wouldn't unpinning the leading edge of the stab keep the edge where the hinges are straighter?
It depends on how you look at it. Okay, so we're trying to make a true model. It can be forward, it can be back, but also keep in mind that this all has to be sanded once we're done. So even if there's a slight little warp here or there, and there's going to be, no matter how you look at it, no matter how straight you build, there's going to be a little bit of warp, and that's why we have these wonderful tools. So when it comes off the build table, before you're going to cover it, you're going to sand everything down. So it's going to be nice and straight in that regard. I do it in the way that I do because it's consistent. So if I go from this model to another model and I'm doing the same thing, I know that at the end of building my horizontal stabilizer, I need to make sure that I sand the trailing edge straight and true.
Got it. Got it.
So if you're a leading edge alignment kind of guy, cool. Just make sure that you do it consistently so that you're not going to take too much material from one side or the other.
Gotcha. So we are going to move on to step 57.
Okay.
Locate both ST9 from BP3. These are glued in place to form the outer tips of the elevator halves. They need to be flat to the building surface.
Okay.
And as you are doing that, my friend, Mark, you are correct. It is time for another giveaway. I'm going to make this easy.
It's Christmas.
I'm going to make this super easy. We'll give away this Dubro hat. That way you could look in style while you're building out on the field. This is going to be the easiest question of the night. In what city and state is Dubro located in? City and state. This is an easy one. Ooh, the city is wrong, RC Barn. The state is correct. He said Chicago. Chicago is the biggest, closest city. You ready for your next step, Josh?
I am.
All right. We are on 58.
58.
Locate both ST10s from BP4. Glue these in place to form the trailing edges of the elevator halves. Make sure that both ST8s are fully inserted into the pre-cut notches.
All right, so I
Here
want
we
to
go.
point out here. That it's kind of hard to see on the video. I'll admit that, but it does make a difference. If you look at how these edges were aligned before, so comparing this side, if you can see this portion of the plans, sort of, it doesn't line up. So make sure that you flip it to the correct position before you glue it in place.
It's a good tip. Todd Chisholm got it first. Wakanda, Illinois. Yes, sir.
Wow.
Todd, shoot us an email at orders@dubro.com. Send me your shipping info and just put in there that you won the hat, and we will get that out to you, my friend.
All right. Whoop, 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 whoop. And that is why I like medium CA, because that could have been a disaster. Because the thin CA, it just sets so quickly that, like, if you just position something slightly ajar, that it'll just instantly set, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, I'm definitely glad I used the medium last class, because I was definitely working slower than you are, and there were a few times where I was like, "Oh, I need to adjust that a little bit," and you could tell the glue was starting to set up, and yeah, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Made it happen.
All right, we're done.
All
What's
right.
next?
Step 59. On the plans, you will see where the elevator joiner will be inserted in the elevator halves. However, to do this, you'll need to cut away a small portion of leading edge of each elevator half. Refer to the photo in the plans and you'll get the idea.
All right, so the photo in the plans looks like that.
Perfect.
So we're going to cut away just a little portion of that right there. So get your handy knife. Some people will say, oh, well, you have to have a number 11 blade. I use these really awesome breakaway ones.
You're just using a basic X-Acto knife, basically.
Yeah. It's got a nice metal handle, so it's nice and rigid, and you can buy refills for it.
Love it.
That's Olfa, made in Japan. OLFA.
Right on.
Pretty simple.
Sweet.
All right, those are cut away.
All right. Locate both ST12s from BP9 and 4 ST13s from BP3 or BP13. Remove any pins from the framework. Lightly sand the tops of the frames. Then glue one ST12 on top of the stab assembly and one ST13 on top of each elevator half. Okay. When the glue has cured, remove these assemblies and flip them over and lightly sand the framework. Then glue other set of ST13s, ST12s to the assemblies.
Perfect. All right. So this is where things can get a little out of hand. So I've got a couple of tips to share along the way. Obviously, when you're removing the T-pins, you want to pull them out in the direction that you angled them in. Don't try to pull them kind of sideways. You can tear the wood. But then as you sand these, so pulling off the wax paper here, It's going to be a little bit stuck, but it'll come off, right? So just be gentle. Don't try to force it because it is still kind of delicate. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to create a sandwich, right? So we're going to have ST12. We're going to have 2 of them. We're going to put one on the top, and then we're going to put another one on the bottom. So this is kind of delicate, and what we're going to do is we're going to take our sander, and we're going to try to level all of this out a little bit more. So we should have built it as flat as we could, right? But now we're just trying to make sure everything's going to be flat so that when this piece of wood goes on top, everything's going to glue nice and tight together. So that's all we're doing, just some light sanding. I'm using 150 grit here.
Doesn't look like you're applying very much pressure at all.
No, hardly any, hardly any. And I won't blow away any of this balsa dust yet. I'll just bring it up here close, so hopefully you can see. It's not focusing very well, of course.
There you go.
But it's very, very light, very, very light dust, because you're just trying to take away the basics, and you can feel a big lip if there is one.
Sure.
Okay, so you're just trying to avoid that. So now I'm gonna put it over the plans as best I can. And again, medium, medium, medium.
You're just putting a light bead over everything, no zigzags or anything like that, really?
Yeah, because generally it's gonna soak in. I'll do a little bit of a zigzag here on this larger plate, but really what I'm mostly concerned with is getting everything aligned. And if you get like right up on the edge, then you have very little opportunity to reposition. So now I'm going to do a little bit of pressing here, but also I have a masonry level. It's solid steel, and I use this quite frequently as a weight because it's really heavy and it's perfectly straight. It's made for making, masonry stuff straight. So I'll just leave this here and I will move on to the next piece, doing the same similar thing.
So we got a question from Rick. He says, does CA make a stronger bond than an aliphatic glue or wood glue?
It's a great question. Do you remember having this discussion, Brian?
I briefly do, and I don't remember the answer. That's why I'm
Oh,
asking you.
come on. Failed your pop quiz today, didn't you?
I did.
All right, so the answer is not necessarily. So strong is a relative term. So CA glue can make a bond that is just as strong as an aliphatic glue, but the joint will be brittle. So compared to an aliphatic glue, it'll be an aliphatic glue will make a joint a little more plasticized,
Okay.
more forgiving. It's like the difference between using iron and steel, right?
Sure.
Iron is exceptionally strong, but it's brittle. But if you work with it a little bit, you eventually get steel, right? And steel bends and gives a little bit, and that's what they make all of these high-rise skyscrapers out of, because of that bend and give. Now we're dealing with different forces on model airplanes, and so we don't necessarily have to have the most rigid structure, but sometimes you do want to have a quite rigid structure, especially for things that are important like these stabilizers. You don't want them to warp in flight because that will make you go in an unpredictable flight path, which would be unsafe, right?
That's like when I fly.
Well, I've flown that way too.
Todd threw out a great tip. He said, if you need a small flat surface, companies that cut granite countertops will have pieces the size of a sink. I get them for free from a local company. And I know a granite guy as well. They always had scraps laying around. You
That's
want
a great
something with
idea.
weight that's flat? Yeah, definitely go talk to
Yeah,
the granite guys locally to you.
for sure. That stone is heavy. Certainly, they know how to grind it flat. So good tip.
Here's another question from Gary. Since you get the quicksand in your hand, he
Uh-huh.
says, do you recommend having several lengths of the T sanding bars, aka quicksand, in which sizes?
So yes, I definitely recommend you have multiple sizes. The main sizes that I typically use are what is this, 5.5?
Yep, 5.5 and 11.
And this is 11. I use these more frequently than anything else. I do also have the Big Daddy,
The 22.
the 22. The 22 is really great for leading edges of wings. So it's kind of a one trick kind of pony. Sometimes you may have a wing that is completely skinned in balsa, and that balsa is a little bit wavy, or maybe you get some irregular grain, and you can also like sort of sand over top of that skin and even it out. You can do that too with a larger sandbar, but I find that having complete control to do that is a little bit easier with the 11-inch. I do on the 11-inch and the 5.5. I leave the excess sandpaper on these edges because you you don't necessarily want to use sanding like this all the time, because this part can gouge into something. So if you leave the sandpaper rolled over this edge a little bit, you're less likely to dig in to the wood as you're doing, because this is quite soft. And it's the same thing with foam as well. I also build in foam, and you can really dig into the material that you're sanding if you have those really harsh edges.
Huh.
All right, so I've got one more to do here.
RC Barn says when layering a sheet like that, he'll take his T-pin and poke the wood slightly, gives a little bit better, uh, it says a little bit better strong, but I'm assuming he's saying a little more strength out of it.
Yes.
He also uses type-on wood glue for big glue ups. Make sure you have plenty of weights,
Yes.
because that's obviously going to take a lot longer to dry compared to the CA.
Indeed, that's what I was going to say for sure. So you're talking about drying time, but also what that pin is doing is it's increasing your surface area. So it gives you a stronger mechanical bond, not just a chemical bond. So by having a hole in it, you're getting additional glue into those fibers to grip onto. And a lot of people do that, especially in the composite building world, so that you have a stronger joint when you're joining different pieces of foam.
Love it. Definitely makes sense.
All right, next.
All right, our next step.
Flip it over and do the same thing.
Yes, sir.
I figured as much.
I almost jumped ahead of you.
All right.
Man, when you got wax paper, that stuff comes off nice and easy.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's the secret sauce. You missed out last time. You had your chance.
All right, Josh, I think it's time for another giveaway.
Very good.
We got a Dubro hoodie here. It's your turn for a question.
Oh, my turn for a question, huh? Well,
Josh loves it when I do this to him.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to work and think of a question at the same time. I didn't come prepared tonight. I got to be honest. I had other
It's
things on my mind today.
it's okay, my friend. It's okay.
Um,
I know you've been through some traumatic events here this past week.
traumatic. That's funny. Okay, so the question is, well, I had it and then I lost it. Typical Joshua move, right? What? All right, let's do a quick fire one. Let's do a quick fire one.
Okay.
This is probably the even easier than your question. Okay.
Oh boy.
What model am I building?
There you go.
What's the
Very good.
name of this model? Come on, guys. What's the name of the model? Begins with M, ends in Inuette.
All right.
There it is, Paul.
Paul missed an E at the end, but I'm going to give that to him. Paul, shoot us an email, orders@dubro.com, with your shipping info and what size hoodie you are, and I will get that shipped out for you. That was quick. Paul was on there.
Yeah.
Them thumbs were hot typing. Or maybe he's on a keyboard. One of the two.
Maybe.
I like it.
All right. Also dust cough. Nice. It's going to happen. Make sure you blow your nose when you're done with this stuff. Seriously. You can get severely irritated sinuses from balsa dust. I mean, it's just wood, but
I mean, when I was in the trades, we called wood dust man glitter.
that's funny.
That's man glitter.
Now, I have had balsa in my day from some kits that I've picked up. In fact, I have a project that I've been trying to work on for a number of years now, but there's something in the balsa that I have an allergic reaction to. I get these hives all up and down my forearms. And I work with balsa all the time, and I haven't had any issues with any of this balsa. But it's a real thing, guys. So if you're buying a kit secondhand, you got to know that sometimes there can be mildew in this wood. There can be other things. So it's important to make sure that if you're going to buy one of these kits, that you either build it or you store it. And when you store it, you got to store it in a good way where it's going to stay nice and dry, and it's not going to grow mold or have any weird stuff in it. It's going to be hazardous to your health.
RC Barn brought up a good point as well. He said, save the balsa dust. Makes great filler with thin CA.
Oh, that is so true.
Oh, yeah.
That is so true.
We used
There'll
to
be
do,
some times where I know that I'm going to do a filler on something and I'll put too much CA on purpose and then immediately go to the low grit in 80 grit paper and just do a little bit of this and it'll
Yep.
just
Oh,
smooth
yeah.
everything out and it'll instantly set. Good tip, RC Barn.
We used to do that on hardwood flooring, take the dust out of our sandbags and mix it with a little polyurethane or some clear epoxy, and it worked perfectly.
Yep, that'll do.
Sutter family's asking, did you mention how thick the balsa and ply doubler sheets are for the stabilizer and elevator?
I did not. Let's measure that. So it looks like 1/16 of an inch. So the outer portion is 1/16 of an inch, and it looks like 3/32 on the core pieces. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mark. I'm kind of eyeballing it. Because most of the time we get balsa sheeting, it's in imperial sizes, so that's why I'm not immediately going to my default metric system.
Sure.
But yeah, the instructions don't specify it.
Mark said spot on.
Oh, look at that! I know how to read a ruler. My pop quiz, I won. How about you, Brian?
He also said when the next step is complete, note how rigid the framework is now compared to when you first took the pieces out of the wax paper.
Yeah. So here's a good demonstration. So this is a piece of the sheeting. So super bendy, right? Not so bendy.
Yeah. It's nice and
Not
sturdy.
so bendy. I mean, it'll bend.
Sure.
But you kind of want that. But it's plenty strong.
Love it.
Next step.
All right. Our last step of the evening is horizontal stab assembly. Okay. Locate the pre-bent elevator joiner from the hardware bag. Make sure that this piece is perfectly flat and that both bends are at 90 degrees to the center of the wire. Adjust as needed.
Okay. Go ahead. Finish the.
I'll let you do that. Or are you good?
Yeah. Well, I'll just say that I checked this previously. So what you're checking, like you can twist this a little bit to make sure both of these ends are sitting flat on the surface. And then I use my square here to make sure that these angles were at 90 degrees. Yeah.
Perfect. Next. Dry fit this into each of the elevator halves into the groove you opened up when trimming the leading edge. Yep. If needed, use a 5/64" drill to carefully open up the groove and remove any glue that may have seeped in. Do not cut through the outer sheeting.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. You're going to use a bit of medium CA glue to permanently glue the joiner into both halves. Make sure the completed leading edge of the elevator is perfectly straight and flat.
All right, so I'm going to give an additional thing that I do. So this wire is pretty smooth. So I forget who pointed out earlier about poking holes in the balsa.
Yep.
We're going to do the same sort of thing with this particular joint. So we're going to take the metal and some sandpaper. Doesn't really matter. I'm using 220 here. You can go lower in grit. And I just want to make some grooves and remove any mill scale that might be on this metal. Okay. And what this does is it creates a bunch of these little tiny grooves in the metal, as well as remove the mill scale. And now we've got a whole bunch of metal dust in there. You see these black marks on my paper, that's metal. So we're gonna try to remove some of that. We're gonna get our wipe that we've already got. It's already been used a couple of times, but all that glue is dry. Just a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, and we're gonna clean these up. And try not to touch them again with your fingers because your fingers have oil on them. And now when we put them in here, we should have a cleaner joint and we'll have additional mechanical adhesion to hold this metal into the wood.
Yeah, it's basically giving you a little more surface area with those grooves, right?
Correct. All right, so then just medium CA, right?
Yes, sir.
You know what? I'm gonna really lay it on here.
Sutter family said, I have to say, out of all the kits I've built since the 1970s, the engineering and execution of this kit seems top notch. Mark?
I would agree.
Mark? go ahead and pat yourself on the back, my friend. Little pat on the back. Yeah, it's the instructions, the plans, everything. It's just so well executed. It's
everything.
It's so easy.
Yeah. All right. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, where's my pins? Over here. Just put a couple of pins in here all the way through. I'm just lining it up on the plans to make things as easy as possible. And then I'm going to get my masonry level out and hold everything straight and let that cure. And we're done.
Love it.
We're done for the night.
Love it. We definitely made some progress tonight, my friend.
Well, I think so. I planned ahead.
Kind of knew what you were doing.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that people learn something. I save all of your balsa scraps too. I don't throw any of this stuff away until the model flies.
Love it.
But yeah, I hope people learn something, maybe something new, reinforce something old. It's always fun building with friends, I'm telling you.
Yeah, heck yeah. I love it, man. I love it. Well, before we end the show, in the spirit of Christmas, let's do one more giveaway.
Okay.
How are we going to do this?
Oh, I don't know. What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
Whoa.
Get the correct answer. Reference to Monty Python. Does anybody know?
We shall see. The clock is ticking. Josh, thanks so much, man, for sharing your knowledge tonight. Appreciate it. Thanks.
It is a pleasure. It is an absolute thrill to be here, and I'm just glad that you guys at Dubro set this up. Sooner family, yes, African or European is the correct answer. Good job.
Shoot me an email at orders@dubro.com and we will get that sent out to you. Did we say what we were giving away?
That's your job.
Oh, yeah. I was like, wait a minute. We'll do the hinge slaughter kit, and let me know if you want a 256 or a 440 pole system. So
very good.
We'll do both of those. Josh, thank you again, sir. Let guys, gals know how to follow you on social media, your YouTube channel, all that good stuff.
Sure. My YouTube channel is just Joshua Orchard. Just do a search and you'll find me. And I am also on Instagram, Joshua Orchard RC. I try to post things as I do them, but I also have a life, so I don't worship algorithms or anything. I'm just happy to share what's going on in my shop.
Always good stuff, man. I always love watching your YouTube videos. I always try to take something away from all of them, and it's just you do a great job teaching. Hence the reason why you're here.
Thank you. I enjoy it.
Thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in. We won't be back till January. January. Is it the 8th, right?
January 8th?
Or is it the 15th?
We worked this out last time, Brian.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was the 15th, right? Yes. Yes, it will be the 15th. We will see everybody January 15th. We hope everybody, Sutter family, the email is orders@dubro.com. We hope everybody has a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. Thank you, everybody, for your support at Dubro. We appreciate all our customers, all our distributors, our retailers, everything across the board. We had a great year, and it's all because of you guys and supporting all of our great products that we make here for all you guys to build planes like this. So we appreciate you guys so much, and we hope you all have a Merry Christmas, and we will see you